Welcome to Movie Speeching. Spoilers ahead, watch out, and take good care. No Way Up is the name of the movie. Please like and subscribe to get every update. Brandon wakes up from an awful dream realizing it's as of now morning. He gets dressed, has breakfast, whereas tuning into declarations and peruses the daily paper, choosing it's time to take off. At the airplane terminal, two men, Kyle and Jed, chat, close the exit. They hold up for Jed's sweetheart Ava, who arrives suddenly with her family's bodyguard Brandon dragging his possessions. Jed is astounded when Ava uncovers that Brandon is joining them on the trip, inciting her to apologize. Kyle talks to Brandon, specifying that each circumstance has the potential for viciousness and energetically indicating out a number of travelers at the airplane terminal. In the meantime, Ava proceeds her discussion with Jed. He clarifies to Ava that her family ought to not continuously be included in everything. She guarantees Jed that they'll generally see Brandon from behind since he's continuously with them. Ava at that point kisses Jed, and Brandon hands his phone to Ava as her father needs to check how she is. Marty and Hank, in conjunction with their granddaughter Rosa, are at the air terminal organizing their possessions, whereas orchestrating things. Marty tells Rosa that as she develops up, she begins taking after her mother. As they walk through the air terminal, Marty tells her that she will do something for a whereas clearing out. Rosa, inquisitive, almost her goal, to which Marty basically answers astonish. As they proceed on an airplane terminal worker moreover takes note Ava as the girl of a senator. Whereas Hank and Rosa are strolling and chatting, Rosa incidentally drops her teddy bear as Ava, Jed, and Kyle walk. They talk about Ava's law school and her work choice that she doesn't truly like. Jed inquires Ava what she has learned approximately herself, and Ava reacts by saying that they are going on excursion to loosen up and disregard around school, not to an interrogation. Meanwhile, Rosa quickly looks her sack for her lost teddy bear. In her scurry, she collides with Ava, who is holding a glass of coffee. The coffee spills onto Ava's dress, driving her to chasten Rosa. Panicked, Rosa runs back to Hank for consolation. Ava, realizing her unforgiving response, feels blameworthy and chooses to rummage around for the teddy bear herself. A grin returns to Rosa's confront when Ava hands her the recuperated teddy bear. A while later, Ava approaches Brandon and thinks back almost their childhood. She communicates appreciation for Brandon, proceeding to go with her. Indeed, she is as of now an adult on the plane. Steward Danilo welcomes everybody sometime recently entering, whereas strolling interior, Brandon advises Ava that they pass their seats. In any case, Ava clarifies they'll be sitting independently as they are boarding from the Rays. Amid takeoff, Danilo illustrates security methods. When KY derides him, Ava chastens him and makes him halt. Afterward, when Kyle inquires for a drink, Danilo imagines to spill it on him, as Vindicate clearing out a fulfilled grin on his confront as he passes by. In the meantime, Rosa and her grandparents energetically bond and have an incredible time amid the flight. Ava takes note there aren't numerous travelers on the plane. Call tongue-in-cheek comments that the plane is ancient, so no one needs to require the chance. Jed clarifies that not numerous individuals book flights on the chosen date. Tis is once more saying the plane's wings are delicate. In no time after, winged creatures enter the fly motor, causing a few insecurity within the plane. The staff consoled everybody, saying that everything would be affirmed, whereas Rosa is looking exterior the plane. She taken note that the fly motor gradually breaking separated. Frightened, she rapidly pointed it out to her grandma. Freeze resulted and everybody affixed their situate bells. Abruptly, a portion of the fly motor struck one side of the plane, causing a breach. Travelers not wearing situate belts were sucked out of the plane due to the tall weight. Endeavors to protect a few were primitive as they were pulled out by the solid vacuum of weight. A stewardess also got caught within the vacuum, whereas attempting to offer assistance a traveler. Brandon and Ava traded a sea as the plane plummeted. The plane dove and smashed into the ocean, coming about in casualties among the travelers. Brandon was hit by a little metal piece within the chest amid the drop, and Call endured a broken hand upon effect. After a whereas the plane slowly sank into the ocean, the center portion of the plane filled with water, but the raised portion remained over the surface. Danilo entered and inquired on the off chance that everybody was affirmed, whereas situated. Brandon abruptly risen from the center portion carrying Marty and Rosa. Brandon rapidly evacuated the little metal piece held up in his chest. Tragically, Marty suffocated and misplaced awareness. Danilo quickly performed CPR, effectively ousting water from Marty's body, sparing her life. They asked around Hank, and Brandon tragically detailed his passing. Tears streamed and Jed was on edge, but Brandon consoled and calmed them. He recommended they remain put within the isolated space for security. Danilo said that the pilot radioed sometime recently the crash, so specialists would before long be mindful of their circumstance. When Kyle listened this, he told Danilo that he said the same thing, that they would be okay. Brandon at that point closed Kyle down, saying that Danilo was right in case they run out of discuss interior. Brandon instructed Danilo to search for an discuss tank incapable to find one. Marty proposed they take the oxygen tank from a man she saw among the travelers. Brandon rapidly took activity to recover the discuss tank. Sometime recently he dove submerged. Marty inquired on the off chance that Brandon may bring Hank's cap to her. Brandon bravely plunges submerged, recovers Hank's cap, and secures the oxygen tank. In any case, a shark all of a sudden assaults him through a gap he battles as the shark nibbles his side, but fortunately he oversees to elude and conveys the oxygen tank and cap to the bunch. Brandon cautions Ava to remain absent, apologizes, and offers her goodbye. As Ava sees a noteworthy gap in Brandon's side, he tells her to be solid. Sometime recently getting pulled back into the waters sees this, causing them to withdraw in fear. She too cries over Brandon's destiny. Marty takes note, a noteworthy drop within the assurance of the bunch. So she proposes they hold up and arrange. They at that point turn their consideration to Kyle's damage, and due to the seriously torment he screams as they fix his broken bone. In the interim, a Protect helicopter is sent to discover the area of the plane crash. The radio operator tells the Protect chopper to heightening the look operation since one of the travelers is the child of a senator. After a whereas, Jed talks to Ava and proposes they take activity. Be that as it may, Ava says they ought to fair hold up for the Protect in case they do not need to. Conclusion up like Brandon in no time after the plane debilitates due to water weight and water starts to leak through. Jed proposes once more that holding up for Protect isn't a great thought. He is disregarded by the gather and they proceed to share stories. Approximately their withdrawn adored ones, a few of them cry as they review recollections with their cherished ones, whereas talking they saw that the water turned wicked, realizing that sharks are eating the carcasses of their adored ones over them. Protect helicopters continue to look for them, whereas bantering abruptly a shark collided with them, needing to induce inside. Danilo inquired how much time they think they have cleared out, and Ava said it may well be around 3 to 4 hours. The plane was making buzzing sounds, but Danilo expelled it as nothing. Jed rolled his eyes, and when Danilo taken note, he said that Jed doesn't accept him since he's fair attendant. Jed answered saying that he has an designing degree. He specified that the discuss plane is essentially delicate compared to a submarine outline for submerged conditions. He declares that at any minute the plane might provide way and water may surge in. Without further ado, after the lights interior the plane went out because it kept on slip. Encouraged descending, they found themselves close the edge of a seamount, with a slight development of the plane absent from the edge, possibly causing them to slip to the sea floor. Interior, the plane started to break down in their modern position. The plan's point got to be more extreme. Recognizing the unsafe circumstance, Ava herself proposed that they had no choice but to endeavor swimming upward. Jed with concern inquired how they would handle the shot sharks. Rosa reviewed what they were taught in school, approximately sharks, and shared that sharks are anxious of bubbles. In any case, Jed specified that they wouldn't be able to climb to the surface without discuss. They examined conceivable arrangements to their discuss issue, but no one may come up with arrangement to keep their spirits up. Ava said she would attempt to think of a way to climb. Ava pardoned herself to utilize the restroom, but she essentially cried interior, whereas looking at a photo of herself with her mother. Whereas the Protect helicopters proceed their look, they at long last find the crash location and send their 2 scuba jumpers. Whereas jumping, the 2 jumpers see their plane on the edge of a seamount. Seeing that the light of the airplane's cockpit is turned on, they swim closer to it. Their gather proceeds looking for things that can offer assistance them. Climb, Rosa inquired Ava in case she was frightened, and Ava rapidly realized that Rosa was getting on edge, so she drawn nearer her and comforted her, guaranteeing her that they would be able to outlive. A number of minutes afterward, the 2 scuba jumpers drawn nearer their area, they inevitably saw them, and the entire gather was filled with trust. Whereas one of the scuba flagged to them they saw a shark. He pulled the scuba jumper down, and the group once more encompassed in fear. Upon seeing the diver's wicked disjoined leg, the 2 warriors within the plane cleared out, since the plane ran out of gasoline, and they accepted that the scuba jumpers had sufficient encounter and might handle the circumstance in the interim. Within the plane, Ava and her companions brainstormed on how they may elude. Ava thought of utilizing the scuba tank of one of the perished scuba jumpers, so she dove down to the portion of the plane as of now submerged in water to seek for the body. After re-emerging, Jed inquired Ava in case she found anything. Ava answered that she wasn't beyond any doubt, so she attempted plunging once more to check. Upon re-emerging once more, she educated Jed that she found something. At the same time, Jed inadvertently fell into the water, but he overseen to remain above water. Be that as it may, a shark taken note him and started pulling him submerged. Ava and the others attempted to protect Jed, but shockingly the shark had severed one of his legs. Jed shouted in torment, and Rosa was guided by Marty to remain behind the window ornament and cautioned not to go close the water. Marty helped Jed with his separated leg and given introductory to begin with. Help Jed inquired Ava almost the severity of his damage, and Ava specified that the dying had ceased. Jed, befuddled, approximately not feeling his leg, was educated by Marty that he had misplaced his leg underneath the knee. Jed, torn between tears and giggling due to the occurrence, had his foot secured by Marty, whereas Rosa was introduced in. Danilo stood up, moved the cabinets, and opened the compartment at the back, giving the spotlight to Ava. Ava said that the uncommon dialect they were looking for was on the correct side. Ava entered and due down looking for the dialects when suddenly an octopus showed up before her. Ava surfaced holding one dialect. She taken note that there were as it were 4 covers. Kyle watched that Jed looked pale, provoking her to inquire Ava to check on him. Ava talked to Jed, reminding him of his want to go to Alaska. She guaranteed him that they would go there before long. Jed answered that Ava continuously says that, but Ava demanded that this time it's for genuine. Ava at that point apologized to Jed for driving him into this circumstance, whereas talking to Jed, Ava taken note something on the window, and all of a sudden they all listened to interesting clamor, provoking them to see out the window together. Marty checked Jed's beat, apologized to Ava, and Ava pondered why Marty was apologizing. She saw Jed inert and endeavored CPR, whereas crying, but Danilo ceased her, realizing there was nothing more they might do. As Ava cried, she communicated that Jed needed to assist her, but he passed on since of her. She specified that Jed continuously attempted to be courageous, however she herself couldn't be courageous. Marty secured Jed's body with a coat, and the plane started making more noise because it kept on break. Separated, Ava checked what was happening, telling her companions that they required to take off as before long as conceivable. Call opposed this idea, considering they couldn't do it presently as they might ended up shark nourishment. Ava proposed utilizing the bubbles, as Rosa said, and the gas canisters for breathing. There were bounty more canisters, and all they required was to seize scuba security. Ava taken note Kyle's trouble and inquired how he was. Kyle battled, describing a traumatic occurrence when he was taken to a swimming pool by his father, whereas jumping profound, he experienced inconvenience, and in spite of holding his breath, his father didn't offer assistance, and he as it were overseen to surface in time. Rosa inquired how long he held his breath, and Kay said 2 minutes, to which Ava expressed that it's sufficient. Ava proceeded to accumulate canisters for more bubbles. In spite of abruptly hearing clamor, they squeezed on with their arrangements. Ava spotted sharks through the window, but she disregarded them. She inquired Rosa almost her dreams, and Rosa communicated her want to gotten to be a vet. In turn, Rosa inquired Ava almost her plans, and Ava shared that she would return to college in October to finish law school. Call addressed their companions around their arrange after getting away, and Danilo uncovered his purposeful to wed his accomplice. He too prompted Kyle to select admirably when it comes to Cherish. Kyle said that he doesn't have any plans, but that in the event that he's a fortunate fellow. Danilo gestured and recommended they take off the region. After they prepared Ava drawn nearer inert body of Jed. Abruptly they listened another commotion, and the planes begun to move. Kay froze since they were sliding down. Ava attempted to calm him, but KY remained on edge. Ava looked out the window and surveyed the plane's condition. KY inquired her what she saw, but Ava claimed she didn't see anything. Kyle doubtful checked the window and watched that the plane was starting to break. Kay taken note a can of drink, so he drank it to calm his freeze. The plane part in half, but they overseen to remain afirm. Ava guaranteed them that they might still get domestic as long as they dodged making surge developments. Ava took the lead in arranging their activities. She recommended sharing the scuba tank until they come to the surface, emphasizing the significance of not wavering. She looked at Kyle looking for confirmation if he believed in her arrange. After reacting, they listened another commotion and felt the plane move. Marty argued with Ava to require care of her grandchild, saying she will do everything for her grandchild. Ava concurred, so Marty talked to Rosa, reminding her of their visits to the zoo where she continuously with her granddad continuously stood in front whereas she was at the back. Marty clarified to Rosa that her granddad proceeded to observe over her within the frame of a soul. Rosa with tears in her eyes concurred, and Marty endowed Rosa to Ava, educating Rosa to drag the line on the off chance that they spotted a shark, and they wore their goggles sometime recently. Clearing out, Marty communicated she is pleased with Rosa. Ava and Rosa dove down making bubbles when they experienced a shark, effectively preventing it. In the interim, Danilo and Kyle taken after suit, but Marty chosen to remain on the plane. She whispered to her spouse to observe over Rosa sometime recently, assembly her downfall. Kay taken note Marty's choice and went back for her, spurring himself with profound breaths, but shockingly the shark pulled him absent, clearing out Daniil with no choice but to take off. In the meantime, Ava and Rosa proceeded swimming, finding the dormant scuba jumper. They took the oxygen tank to breathe and were in the long run joined by Danilo. Ava asked around the others, but she taken note Danilo alone shaking his head. They traded oxygen and segregated the tank from the expired scuba jumper, planning to rise when Ava abruptly pulled the line joined to Rosa and Dan, permitting them to rise to the surface. Upon coming to the surface, Ava spotted a shark, overseeing to hide. In any case, the plane descended, causing Ava to fall. She battled to swim upward, but inevitably misplaced awareness. Fortunately, her life coat brought her to the surface. Upon recapturing awareness, she looked for Rosa and Danilo. She, as it were, found Rosa's little teddy bear coasting. When helicopters arrived, they tossed a rope to Ava, lifted her, and to her alleviation, she saw Danilo and Rosa. The trooper inquired Ava on the off chance that anybody else was cleared out behind, but Ava shook her head. Rosa said her grandmother, but Ava shook her head and Rosa embraced her, shedding tears. Ava gave Rosa the teddy bear, but Rosa said her grandpa's counsel that the bear ought to be with her amid extreme times. She accepted that she not required it, so she chosen to return it to the ocean. Subscribe to watch more videos like this. Leave a comment about your favorite movie and we will make it next. Thanks for watching.